Good morning or afternoon, whatever it may be for you. I'm Renee Owens and this is my channel. Art is just one of the things I probably will be videoing. I have plans, I just haven't gotten there yet. So much work to do. So I had a really random act of kindness from someone, kind of random act. The artist Diann Zimmerman gifted me a whole bag of paint samples, and so today's video we will be sampling the Da Vinci set. Her thing is Art Damazzi. Hey, we can get going. There, that's better. Sorry, interruption. And she has a watercolor group called Watercolors Beginners and Beyond. And yeah, so let's get into the video. So I want to thank her a lot for these paints. I'm going to do it on this cheap paper. This is not watercolor paper, so it's going to be nasty, but I just want to see something based on 2, 3, based on past experience with other paints. So I'm going to say the first thing I notice about these higher quality paints compared to my old ones is the texture. So I'm going to show you, this is Artist Loft, and this pan set was probably $8. And first thing you're going to notice is they're very chalky. So see, this one is loose, and it actually has a gritty, grainy texture. And when you paint with it, you see it has a very powdery texture. When you paint with it, it grinds on the paper like you're using chalk. The colors are very muted, they're hard to blend, they don't flow well, they kind of just sit wherever you put them. Which I guess if that's your art style, that's kind of nice, but I'm just not happy with them. And I did get some watercolor medium to hopefully improve this, because I do intend to use this as a practice palette for, you know, brush stroking and stuff. I have another Artist Loft palette, which is the Pearl set in here, and I also have the Artist Loft watercolor pencils, which I am still also not happy with. Lesson learned. This is before I started doing actual watercolor, and so I just bought what I thought was right. And now, being in this group for a year, I know better. So the first things first is we reactivate the paints by putting a couple drops of pure water into them. No watercolor medium in this. I'm going to put a couple drops more just because it is hot. I do have watercolor medium in the male, but it's not intended to use with these better paints. So we're going to let those sit there, and then we filled our 2 wee yogurt jars with water, and we have one with this makeup scrubber, so you can find these in the makeup aisle for like $2.50, and they're wonderful for getting paint out of the brush. So we have these, and then we have Simply Simmons. This is the lower end recommendation on Watercolors Beginners Beyond product recommendations. So Simply Simmons, I have both sets, just so you know. I have all 3 sets, actually, I should say. So I have the big mop set, and then I have the detail set, and then I have the set that comes with the kind you use for writing. So I have those. And I already have this small drawing I did earlier. She also sent me this infinity pen, so it draws infinitely. So we're using it in this. We use it to draw this already. So this is just a sample to see how this paint acts on this brush paper. So according to the recommendation of one of the people I'm following on YouTube, before you start painting, you need to fully soak your brush. And you want the water not to go above the ferrule. This is a little metal piece that holds the bristles onto the thing. Especially important if these are wood. You do not want these to get wet. So, we're fully soaked that. And now what we're going to do And I'm not a professional. I've only been doing this a year. But we are going to wet the paper. I've seen this done several ways of doing the center first and then doing the petals, or doing the petals and doing the center first. I tried the center first and I didn't like how the colors ran, but maybe since this is, better paint, it won't behave so badly. Our next video will be actually sampling this in my sample book, my swatch book. What? Oh, no, you didn't. So I will be doing that later this afternoon, or after this video, as it were. I'm going to make a better effort to do this every day, as well as getting a sewing video up every day of whatever it is I'm doing. I just haven't set up all my camera equipment, which I don't have a lot of camera equipment. I have a couple of $10 cameras that hook up to a PC, but I haven't set that up yet because I've just reorganized and re-cleaned the room, and I'm still getting stuff put away. So, fun thing, when you become an empty nester, you get some bonus rooms. I'm not going to wet the leaf yet because we're going to come back and wet the leaf with something else. I'm not sure what brush to use at this point. I haven't watched a ton of tutorials. I've watched a few, but not a ton. I'm going to choose this number 4 round, because I think it will not be too big for the paper. Excuse me. Soda. So what I'm understanding is, I'm going to put the color here, I guess. And we're going to put some drops of water on my ceramic plate. I just got this plate for $1.50 at Walmart. It's not a big deal. And so instead of putting the... Wow, that's really vibrant. Instead of painting directly from the palette, which I usually do, I don't want the paint to be a lot thinner so that it flows better, I guess. Yes, and I think this is the issue with the paper because it's still not flowing very well, and it should. It's okay. Underpainting and all. So I'm watching these YouTube videos on underpainting, and I'm trying to understand. So I'm going to attempt to do a yellow wash with a red over it to get an orange daisy leaf. Of course, I know daisies are white, so bear with me. Maybe it's a different kind of flower. I don't know. You can see this cheap multimedia paper. It's very thin. It's cellulose, so it doesn't have a lot of... It absorbs too quickly. I'll put it that way. And then it warps and whatnot. So yes, I know I'm testing this on a cheap paper, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow for a different color paint. Now, while we let that dry, I'm going to underpaint the leaf here with yellow and put blue over it, see what kind of green we get. And there's another kind of painting where you mix it on your palette, and I've not been successful at getting the right colors, I guess. But we will try that. So that looks like everything I need to have in yellow. Let's see what happens if I grab this blue and mix a little bit. Whoa, that's a lot. Okay, well, I didn't need that yellow anyway, I guess. Tobias. Yeah, see, I think it's the paper's fault at this point. And I know this is stupidly cheap paper, but it's just a test anyway. And I feel like I'm wasteful, but I mean, what am I going to do? So should we do the dark red over that or the light red? I think I'm going to do orange, actually. I'm going to grab orange and see what happens if... Yeah, there we go. And I got the yellow all over the water bottle. Great. So, that's me being a little lazy. So what I want to do is I want to darken this yellow, but I want to darken it just right there. So I haven't really watched many videos. I watched one video on underpainting and it was a pumpkin. And I may try that, but I need to do this week's landscape painting, even though I'm really not interested in the prize. I mean, I should be, but I don't know. I find the thought of taking yet a third class at a time a little daunting. Like, I'm already attending 2 different classes. One for sewing, one for coding. That's how tired I am. And I already sew on top of this, which I've been sewing for most of my life. So me adding in painting. Okay, so my story with painting is that I did a little bit in high school. Like, my parents were like non-artists, non-music people. They ran a very tight ship of chores and work, and that's all that was really available to us as kids. We didn't have play. And I'm not knocking that. Like, it taught me to be very, taught me to be a workaholic, actually. Which is my problem, not anyone else's. But in high school, I ran out of classes to take because I had just gone through everything, including some college courses, mostly mathematics and business. And so I took art and art history, and I did a few things, and I kind of set my own curriculum because the school didn't have art or art history. When I was leaving the high school, which was a charter school, they finally added, I'm kind of liking this actually, they finally added a computer course, but that was like at the end of high school, and yeah, my parents didn't think it was important for me to take that. Anyway, so in addition to that, while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to grab my nibs and so why don't we just go ahead and do graphite on that. So I'm going to grab my graphite. So I just have it here, and there's a little bit of gold in there because I have been using this dish exclusively for the art graphite watercolor and as a rinse dish for this gold. So it's kind of got both in there, which is kind of cool. And I can just activate it and use it. I mean, the paints are going to last forever, I swear. So I kind of made my own courses. and one of them definitely was art. And I enjoyed it, except that it was short-lived. Like, once I got done with whatever I was doing, my stepmother made me get rid of the supplies, which kept angering the teacher, because then the school didn't want to keep paying for more supplies the next time I had some art tests to do. So yeah, so I didn't do art again. I'm like, I was going to buy some art supplies at a yard sale, and the lady decided that I was too old to learn how to paint. I was 20. She was like, no, this is really something you take a lifetime to master, and you're already too old to do it. I was like, wow. And I looked at her, and I said, is that the way you talk to your own daughter? I mean, I felt like it was really rude, and she looked at me, and then she apologized. She said, no, I would encourage my daughter to learn how to paint. I said, then why are you being like this? So I knew her at church, but she was also happened to live next door to me as an adult. And I just felt like I was being discouraged from pursuing something I could potentially enjoy in life, rather than just life being all about work and chores and work and chores. Oh, I'm really bad at this brush. I see people use this brush and it's like, hello, 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 hello. And so I didn't pursue it again, but I kept having these dreams, and mind you, I've never done watercolor. Wow. There's also a little hair that's bugging me. It's right there. So I didn't pursue watercolor. I just pursued work and work and work and work. And of course sewing, but sewing is so utilitarian for me. It was never an art form. It was like, making stuff for the home, or mending clothes, or making clothes. And so when my stepkids turned 17, I decided to go back to school to make sewing more of an art form. But I kept having these dreams. It's having a very Asian quality to it. Of watercolor, and I'd never done watercolor. Like I'd done acrylic, and I want to say, yeah, just acrylic paintings and some India ink paintings. And I just keep having these dreams of painting leaves, and I still do. I have these dreams of painting leaves and then edging them in gold. And it's kind of haunting, actually, because I'm so happy what I'm doing. Like, I'm in this massive state of just epic bliss, and the page is like glowing brightly like sunlight, and I just, I don't know how to get there. I want to be there. So anyway, so that's my epic starting story. Like, last year I decided, well, going to sewing school and going to coding school so I can pursue my real work dream of building some programs. I said, well, on top of all that, I'm just going to start to paint. Because, that can be helpful with, the type of art I do at work, too. I mean, I make graphic art for people, for companies. I started my own business like 20 years ago, doing small business services, not virtual assisting. Oh, I can't stand virtual assisting. But like business services, so like helping people design their logos and lay out business cards and build websites and decide on marketing plans. Oh, that's nice. So what I'm noticing over here is just because the plate's not flat, the red just slid into the green on the page. So that's just fantastic. That has a little bit too much water in it. Or I mean, red in it. So we're going to try this. I don't know why I want red petals, but I don't think it's working out how I intended. I think I do need to do underpainting of blue. That's probably the right thing to do. And I need to get a color wheel. I mean, I have a color wheel. I need to find my color wheel. That is epically the wrong brush for this. Oh, that's infinitely better. What was I thinking? Why am I working so hard at this? So yeah, I kind of started my own thing. I have been doing it exclusively though. Like I did in-home care and stuff for a while, taking care of elderly people, and I got trained through the state to do that. Oh, this is gonna get some blue in it, unfortunately, because all the red just slid right into the. Yeah, great. Like it literally slid out of the water into the blue water. Yeah, I've always supplemented income multiple ways. It's just since I started being a nanny and then of course being a stepmother, I just done my business exclusively, and so I did a lot of graphic design stuff for businesses, of course, which is totally different than doing hand printed arts. That's better. Didn't turn out like I liked. I don't know. So brown. How do I make brown? RPG. Oh, red, blue, green. There we go. There's a semblance of some kind of muddy color brown. Let's see if we added more blue to it, maybe. So anyway, that's my story. How about y'all? So, in shipping, this blue came apart and it's all over the bag. I'm not complaining. I'm just like, I'm gonna have to mix it a little bit here. I'm gonna have to get some little sticks to do this stuff with. At least it activates well. So I had some tubed Artist Loft, and that stuff, once it dried, it did not reactivate at all. It was like working with dried acrylic paint. Not to mention it like took weeks to dry. So it was watercolor that acted like acrylic that acted like oil paint. It was so bizarre. It's purple. It's great. Purple's great. Purple's a good color. Time. Coffee. Coffee. That's the alarm that signals that I'm off work. So that color's really not working. I do need to take some art color theory classes, I think, first. The underpainting classes. So my real goal with this is the leaves. And then on top of that, I enjoy sumi painting like I did in high school. And by the way, I'm like in my 40s, so it's been 20 years. And I want to get back to it. I feel like, I've raised kids, I have a home and a husband and a job, and I shouldn't feel guilty for like pursuing things that I enjoy. And I really hate it when people try to make me feel guilty for that, because like, why can't I have my own stuff? I did the work. I put in the work. Anyway, I digress. So I am unsuccessfully making brown. So I'm going to stop that because I've got a deeply red-purple mess over here. Maybe you can tell. And it's not working out for me. So I'm just going to use some what I did the signing down here with. Not that the paper's been like, you know. I'm going to do something unique. That's kind of cool. I mean, that didn't take much. I'm going to clean this brush. This brush, do we want to use this brush? No, we should use a detail brush and just grab some extra green. That's not grabbing enough pink. Try to grab that one maybe. It's okay. I mean, I think I'm getting better. Now I perfectly understand why they put these paints in those palettes that open up and have a mixing palette next to it, because then I wouldn't have to keep cleaning that off or letting it dry. There, I think that's okay. What do you think? And I normally put backgrounds, but I mean, like, it would just mess the backgrounds up. I should sign my name somehow. Here, let's go with some plain graphite. Graphite is thirsty. It just like soaks up the water. So you have to use it quickly or put it in something else and re-wet it. Alrighty. Well, this is the end of the video. I hope you go check out Watercolors Beginners and Beyond. They have a website and they have a Facebook group, and they have challenges every week. This week's challenge is landscape painting, which we will do on our next video. So take care.